Hello, everybody. This is Rich at Embarrassment of Riches coming to you in this July 4th week here in the United States. And I'm wearing one of my favorite t shirts as a subtle reminder to some people with interesting beliefs that the scoreboard reads differently. Regardless, it's been a good month of June to get records. It's one of the best months I've had so far this year. So here is my June vinyl wrap up for all my pickups. First up is a record I've been after for a very long time. And up until recently, I was seriously considering paying above $100 for this because it is so rare. You know, I'm kind of stingy on one record at a time. I could spend $100 on a couple different records and feel okay about it. Records that I've been looking for a long time. But $100 on one record, it better be something that's just that one pressing and never come out again. And I've been hemming and hawing for a few months, and then boom, as if the ether had heard my wishes, the self-titled great album from the Monsters of Folk, one off so far apparently album-wise, but the incomparable M. Ward, Jim James, well, it's Mike Mogus, and Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes, your folk supergroup, actually. And it's a brilliant album. And I didn't know they were going to make 3 pressings. So immediately, as soon as I saw that Vinyl Me Please was doing theirs, I ordered in less than 5 minutes after getting that email. It's a great record, and this is the limited to 750 Vinyl Me Please version. There's 2 others now, and that's fine. I hope everybody gets a bit of the Monsters of Folk. For the next record in the pile for this month is one I have to thank DJ Vinyl Vertigo for reminding me of, because it's a brilliant record and it falls onto my want list of many thousands of things I'd like to have, and you can't get every single one of them, and sometimes you just need to focus on one that you really like. And he bought it last month, and I bought it this month. It's the Barnes & Noble exclusive, Seal self-titled, not the original album. This is the one with the slightly overplayed Kiss from a Rose, but that doesn't detract from the fact that it's an incredible album full of great songs. And the voice, yeah. If you know, you know. I hope you've experienced some of the at least early Seal albums. They're very accomplished, very interesting music, and it plays really well. It's extremely well produced. It sounds great. So if you haven't yet, and I can play like DJ Varna Vertigo did for me, I can remind you that this is a great album you should pick up and give a listen to. And now is the newest from the series that I'm beginning to love so very much. It's the Rhino Hi-Fi series. There's not been too many misses on this. There's been plenty of hits that I've really enjoyed. And how could I say no to Devo Freedom of Choice? So nice I had to get it twice. It's got the self-titled track that's incredible. Whip It, of course, which was a tremendously huge hit when I was 9 years old. Yeah, that was a long time ago. But Girl You Want, Planet Earth, there are great songs on this one, and I'm very glad to have it because it is limited, and the Rhino Hi-Fis that I do enjoy sound really, really, really good. So if you have a chance, do yourself a favor, get it. I'm hoping the light in the room doesn't reflect too shiny on some of these that are still wrapped in their shipping plastic, but I also got this one from Black Claw Records. It's nardcore. And the Nard comes from the city of Oxnard, where I was lucky enough to live from 1996 to 2005. Met some of the greatest people I've ever met. Some are still very good friends that I enjoy their company and love to hear about their lives, even though we're thousands of miles away now. What those friends did expose me to was nardcore punk rock, and a lot of them were in the bands on these compilations. And it's just a great representation of a city that had a scene that I was not aware of until I moved out there. I mean, I knew RKL, I've heard of Aggression and Stalag 13 and bands like that, but there were many more that I was exposed to while I lived there that I was very grateful to have heard about. And this is one of my favorite compilations now. And that very same Black Claw Records that had the Nardcore compilation sent this as a bonus. It's, I guess, the first time on vinyl. 86th from Pillsbury Hardcore. Not familiar with the band, but I trust the label now very much, so I'm going to give this a listen. It looks pretty cool. And it came with a bunch of flyers and a couple of stickers. Like, this is some record label love. These people are loving what they're doing, and I love to support that. So, Viva Punk Rock. Viva Nardcore. I was also lucky enough to be able to plug a few holes in my rootsy reggae collection. I was able to find a 12-inch single from one of my favorite bands, Culture, and this is Zion Gate. And the flip side is Zion Rock. It's a 12-inch single, but the Zion Rock is well done by Joe Gibbs and the Professionals, as always. Super hard studio band, and I don't have too many more 12-inch singles for Culture to go. It's a deep, dark rabbit hole to go down if you're looking for the 7-inch singles from Jamaican labels. Like, you're going to pay a lot of money for a record in shit condition, but you're lucky to have it at all because they were pressed and they were pretty much disposable at the time. The sound systems wrecked these things. So I'm searching out the high-grade 12-inch singles when I can find them. But like I said, Culture is one of my favorite groups, and I'm very glad to have this one. I don't have too many more 12-inch singles of theirs to go before I have a complete discography of theirs. So I'm pretty happy. And here's another rootsy reggae from 1970s that I love and I'm happy to have. It's Rivers of Babylon from the Meditations. Well, it's Brent Dow, who was basically the voice and songwriting of the Meditations. But this is Rivers of Babylon, one of my favorite reggae songs. And you'll find covers and interpolations of parts of this song throughout reggae of the era. And it's like a hide-and-seek kind of game that I listen to some of the most obscure reggae from that era, and they'll have a line or two from this song, which, I'm sure it borrows from the Bible, obviously, but also from earlier reggae. You'll just see it, bits and pieces of it in other songs. It's pretty cool. And I'm glad to have it. This is an upgrade. I bought one maybe 8 years ago and was stoked just to have it. It's an actual Jamaican pressing, first press, and it was kind of garbage. So this is a very serious collection upgrade that I'm going to treasure for a long time. This next record is one I don't want to do too much explaining about, but I've loved this song since the first time I heard it, with a cover version by Captain Sensible and the Softies, which is basically Captain Sensible leaving England for a bit, having problems with the Damned, and doing a cover song of this Elton Motello hit? I don't know. I'm not sure how this fared at the time, but it's obviously a classic to a certain amount of people, me being one. But it's Jet Boy, Jet Girl, which I find to be just one of the most hilarious and catchy punk rock songs ever. The Captain Sensible's version, but this is great too. I just wanted to have every piece along the way, if I can, that led up to the Captain Sensible version, and the Damned still do that cover version as well. It's a hilarious song. It's fun. It's super offensive to a lot of people, and I really got to be careful who I play it around. It's kind of not along exactly the same vein as Last Caress from the Misfits, because that one, like, people will find themselves humming that song without knowing what the words are saying. Yeah, and I love that song. Don't get me wrong. That's one of my favorite Misfits songs. But this one, Jet Boy, Jet Girl, very glad to have it because I have looked for this in United States record stores for 30 years. Nary a one. And found this on Discogs from a reputable seller, and bingo bango, it's at my house in a week. And plugged a hole in the collection. The very same seller on Discogs that sold me that Elton Motello, Jet Boy, Jet Girl, I bought 2 other records from them. Great range of stuff. Also had 808 Beats from the Unknown DJ. This is a good representation of early LA hip-hop. And even though there are no 808 Beats on the 808 Beats record, I found out much later, many years later, it's a different machine he used. But the spirit is there because it's a lot of boom bap beats that are really good. And I love the history of early LA hip hop. And Unknown DJ, Andre Manuel. Like, this is a very cool one to have, and I got it for significantly less than it would go for in a lot of other places, especially if I were to find it on a trip to Southern California. Like, this is a hard to find record, and when you do find it out there, it's pretty expensive. So I consider myself lucky to have this one at the bargain price that I got it for. Pretty stoked. And if you yourself are into Southern California early hip hop, you will try to find anything on the Techno Hop label. You'll definitely find some early Ice-T. There's good stuff there. So keep your eyes open if you see it. And, let Rich know. The third record from that wonderful Discog seller that I got was this Voodoo Essentials from DAngelo. Price was really good. It's only a sampler of the insanely classic album Voodoo, but this is a good sampler. It's got chicken grease, Spanish joint. What else does it have? Feel Like Making Love. Great stuff, and hopefully the price of an OG of Voodoo will come down eventually. It's just a bit more than I want to pay, although I do really love the record. This will fill the gap until that time. Excellent stuff and in beautiful condition. This next one was an unexpected find because I wasn't really looking for it. I already have multiple copies of it in great condition. But if somebody's going to sell Mirror Moves from the Psychedelic Furs for $5, I'm probably going to buy it every time because $5 is a cheap enough price that I can pass it along to somebody who may have never heard this album, which is unfathomable, and I feel sad for that individual if they haven't. Here Come Cowboys, The Ghost in You, Heaven. I mean, this is a classic album and really by a very sadly overlooked band in the mass of what it became alternative rock. I never slept on them, and nobody I really know slept on them, but they did not achieve the fame that their talent, and especially Richard Butler's voice and songwriting, would have them be deserving of. So, yeah, $5? Shit. Sticker and original cellophane? Yeah, I'm going to buy it. And next is an album I'm not all that familiar with. I know the artist very well, of course, but it's Santana. I believe it's Santana 3. And it's one I just do not have in my collection, and it seemed a shame. Actually, since it was so cheap as well. It was under $10, in brilliant condition. It's the gatefold. I mean, it's got somebody's name, and somebody drew a beard on Homeboy over there, but like overall, it's VG Plus on the sleeve here, but the album itself, the vinyl, is very close to near mint. And I would eventually like to have the first few Santana albums. I have a couple of copies of the very first one. And of course I love that record. And it was just a part of my collection that had nothing more than just, that one album. And it always seems pretty sad when you know an artist has a great discography. So slowly building up my Santana collection. And if anybody has any good ideas on which ones to get next, I'm listening because it's obviously great stuff. June really seems to have been a month for me getting copies of albums that I have previously, just in different pressings or in better condition, just trying to up the collection a bit at a time. If I have an album in VG that I've had for years, I'm going to try to go for VG Plus or near mint if I can. And that explains why I probably got my 6th copy of Uncle Jam Wants You from Funkadelic. I don't know if you can see behind me, but this one's been on the wall forever. It's one of my favorite albums. I have a t-shirt of it. I got a poster of it. George Clinton, I think, is at the peak of his powers on this one. Smoking a little fucking J right there, too. Looks pretty cool. But Knee Deep, Freak of the Week, Uncle Jam. This is a party album. So if Mike, MGK Boston, I recommended Boingo Alive last time. Uncle Jam Wants You. I won't be able to be there in person, but you play the record and I'll be there in spirit. I was lucky this month to find another record that's very close to my heart as a lover of music, and the great Hank Williams, Moanin' the Blues. I have 1 or 2 of these already, like I mentioned previously, in condition that leaves a lot to be desired. But I also have a ton of Hank Williams Sr. in my collection. I really should make a stack of it and see how tall it is. But I'm especially attached to the records that were released in his lifetime. So I have a bunch of the 10-inch shellac singles, and basically I think 2 albums that he released while he was still alive, because they flooded the fucking market, of course, with everything that he did and just repackaged. I think there's a Smiths song about that. Paint a Vulgar Picture. But it's it's 1952. This isn't going to be in mint condition, and my boy Russ Kirschenbaum left his name forever for posterity. That was 72 years ago that this record came out. So to find it in any condition, especially very playable. This does not belie the fact that the record itself is in VG plus, without a doubt. It's very enjoyable and nothing but Hank hits. And you can't see behind the camera, but I have a framed picture of Hank. There's Hank all over my collection. I might even make a video one day just to bug people because I don't think anybody else loves Hank Williams Sr. So it might be just a rich thing, but I love it, and I'm very happy to have this. In keeping with the theme of so nice that I had to have it twice, and the Rhino Hi-Fi limited edition remasters, this Black Sabbath self-titled. I've been watching videos other people have made reviewing it and doing a side-by-side A and B test with the original pressings and further pressings. If you've heard any of the superlatives that better minds and collections than I have spoken about on YouTube lately, this record sounds incredible. And I have the original Green Label Warner American, and I got the Vertigo German vinyl when I was in Paris a couple of months ago, which sounds pretty good. None of them match this. So I can see why it's been very coveted lately and seems to be going for some crazy prices. So I was lucky and just quick on the button, I guess, to get two of them because it sold out pretty quick. This one's going to hold pride of place in my collection for a long time. This is kind of the avatar of proto-heavy metal, and it sounds so clean. I hope everybody out there gets to experience this for themselves as well. I believe that I have also mentioned previously once or twice, just because I get this monthly, is that I am a Vinyl Me Please member. Overall, very, very happy to be so, even if you did see my last video where I kind of shit on them and Def Jam for their ill-informed choices for their 40th anniversary Def Jam box set that still mystify me and have me losing sleep. But I am down to 2 tracks on them because 4 was just too much money. And it really narrows the choices and kind of makes me focus more on what I really want to receive every month. And of course, the T-Rex self-titled was a no-brainer. That's an easy choice. It's one I didn't have. I have a couple T-Rex, and for whatever inexplicable rich reason, I haven't found this one in my collection until this month. I'm very happy with this one. And for the second choice, man, I didn't like anything else they were putting out this month, so I went back into the swap shop and picked the record that I thought I might really enjoy. It's something worth giving a try, and it's Blossom Deary. I have read and heard a number of things about how good this is. It's not really my traditional lane for music, no doubt, but it is definitely one that I'm willing to give a chance. And really, that's pretty striking imagery on the front. For some reason, even before I read anything about this album, I thought that's a pretty solid and clean looking cover photo on there. So I'm hoping, who knows, I might enjoy it. Other people have. I'm open to enjoying it. I'll let you know. And I thank you for your patience. We are nearing the end here, I promise. This is another one I had to get twice just because I've been looking for it for so long. It's the Sundays, Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic. And for years, well, for about a year after it came out, I thought it was Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic until I was corrected by somebody from London who told me that the band was from Reading and it was going to be a play on words for the title, so it's Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic. Regardless, classic alternative album with the sweet, sweet sounds of Harriet Wheeler's voice. The original pressing of this is well out of reach of what I'm willing to pay, or able to pay, I suppose. And there was a record store release a few years ago that I just missed. I bought a bunch that year, and I did not go to a store that had it. That one is incredibly expensive as well. So to see a reissue at an affordable price allowed me to buy one and to keep another one for one of my children or for a friend who had never heard this amazing album. And yeah, I'm very glad to have this one too. It's been a hell of a month for records, y'all. And the last record for an already incredible month was the Interscope version re-release of another classic, Betty, from Helmet. This record is a 1.5 LP because it's got one of those etched D sides on the 2 LP. Regardless, it's 2 bonus tracks and 2 mixes for whatever that's worth to you, but an insanely wonderful album. Page Hamilton at his best on this one. Very happy to have it because, again, this was going to cost me a ton if I wanted to get an original pressing of this, which is an album I've never seen in a record store, an original press. Not on the wall, not in the stacks. Just, I've never seen anybody else who even had one in their collection. So this is something I feel very fortunate to have now, and it sounds great. Interscope is doing great things with their record club, although I am going to sell the Eminem one that I have because I was too late to cancel it. But I mean, they have a No Doubt one coming next month. I mean, I saw them a couple times back in 94, 95. They were a good band. You know, I don't know. I'll think about it. I might keep it. Either way, that'll probably be in my July pickups video that hopefully you'll stick around for as well. The lovely Betty from Helmet. So thank you everybody for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I've watched a lot of people's June pickups videos, and I'm glad to see the vinyl community thriving and sharing these things. We all love to see each other do well in this and to pick up great things that we've been looking for a long time. So thank you, and I really appreciate it, and I will see you all next time.